We have a very serious fiscal situation that we are in, and I'm facing a $16 million deficit. We're using all of our fund balance in 2015, so we have a lot of work to do in order to put together a 2015 budget, because 2014 is really the end of the line. So it is very challenging, and it's a daunting task to look at how we can streamline our operations to save money, but also looking at other sources of revenue. We've reached out to the state, and we need to make sure that our friends in state government understand the severity of the shortfall that we're facing, so that we can work together to build a bridge to a sustainable budget for the city of Albany.
This is not unique to the city of Albany. It seems to be a problem not only in the capital region with other cities, but all across the country right now.
Well, I think that our municipalities, our municipalities, when you look at what happened for years and years, you had flight out of the cities and into the suburbs, and so much of the wealth went to the suburbs. But many of the challenges and infrastructure expenses remained in our cities, and our cities still remain the hub for culture, for working. We have a city that doubles in population every day with people coming here to work, and so we've got to find the right balance. And I think that if we work together, if we think regionally, and if we're willing to talk about fairness and how we go about funding our cities, that we will find a solution. I have complete, and utter faith in our ingenuity as Americans to work through this issue.
Well, the talk of the new convention center in the city of Albany, that's going to create jobs in the construction industry, and long term it's going to be pretty good, right? That'll help. That's right. We're looking at about 120 construction jobs in connection with that project. We're looking at, about 130 permanent jobs directly related to the convention center. But what I'm really excited about is creating a city that is really a spectacular host for that convention center. We have wonderful hospitality in our city. We have wonderful cultural institutions, but what we haven't done a particularly good job of yet is linking all of those, so that for a visitor who comes here, it's really a seamless experience. And I think great cities are judged by how they receive their visitors, and we want to make sure that when that convention center opens its doors in July of 2016, that we have a city that is really ready for them, that links all of our cultural institutions, our historic institutions, our entertainment, that we've brought in the types of retail and entertainment venues that people are looking for, so that when they come here, they really fully experience all that the city has to offer, from things like the U.S. Slater to that incredible state capitol building that tells an amazing story. If you have any interest in architecture, it's a really fascinating building. We have so much great stuff here that I think will not only bring conventions here, but bring people back again and again and again. Someone was telling me that the way the convention center is going to be constructed, and you just alluded to it, it's going to link the Times Union Center, the Empire State Plaza Convention Center. It's all going to be very easy to go from one to another. That's right, and I think that it is going to be a model for how we all work together in a more cohesive way, because you're going to have to be working with a building that's run by the state and OGS, the Convention Center Authority, and then the Times Union Center is run by the county, making sure that we work together, so that for the person who's trying to plan a meeting for 5,000 librarians who are coming here for a 3-day conference, they want to have that be seamless. They don't want to have to go talk to the state about this meeting space, and the county about this space, and the Convention Center Authority about this space. So what I'm really excited about is that you have all of those entities saying, yes, we've got to do this in a way that we're working together, and I think that that's really going to be a blueprint for how we build on that and do even more together. One thing that the mayor of any municipality has to deal with is crime, and especially in urban areas. And right now, there seem to be reports of there are sort of gang rivalries between the city of Albany and the city of Troy. Want to talk about that a little? Well, we need to find alternatives for our youth. We have too many of our young people who are disengaged from education, they're disengaged from the job market, and they are unfortunately engaged in behavior that is destructive not only for the community but for them as well. And so we've got to really look at what we're going to do this summer to ensure that we're providing
opportunities for young people that interest them, that are going to capture them, and that are going to put them on a path to success. So that's really the challenge that we're facing, and I've convened already a group of not-for-profit service providers who provide services for teens to talk about making sure that we're working together and not overlapping, but ensuring that we are meeting the needs of our youth. The next step is that we're going to meet with officials of the school district. They have real concerns about what our youth are going to be doing, particularly in the summer. And we've got to put them on a path to success and recognize that they need to see that we adults are concerned about them, that we respect them, and that we want them to succeed. And that really is the path to ending some of this, I would call it silliness, but unfortunately it has taken on a real violent component. So, but that's what it is. It is really meaningless in the grand scheme of things, and we've got to provide hope and opportunity for our youth to engage them.
You were just talking about schools, and before we went on the air today, Mayor Sheehan was bragging about the teachers and the schools in the Albany school system. Want to talk about that a little bit? Do your bragging.
Well, I see tremendous things happening in our schools, and I believe that we have one of the best school districts in the region. When you look at our young people and where they're going to college and the course offerings and opportunities that they have available to them in our high school, it's really outstanding. The challenge is that we have far too many for whom the current environment is not working, and we have failure. But that failure is linked not just to schools, it's linked to a healthcare system that in many instances are failing our children. We have some parents that are not stepping up and doing what they need to be doing for their children. We have social services that in some instances are failing our children. So we've got to look at what the roles are for if each of us, from the business community to government to the not-for-profit community, to see how do we work better together to provide that pipeline of support that gives every child the opportunity to succeed. And when I go into our schools, I don't just show up. I am invited. The students have been expected to do research, to write me letters.
Tell about the letters that you got.
I had one teacher at the Albany School of Humanities who had his 5th and 6th graders read an article on homelessness, research homelessness, write me letters explaining the problem, their concerns about it, and requesting certain solutions. So when I went to visit with those students, we were really discussing homelessness at a pretty deep level, and the challenges, the financial challenges that cities have in providing affordable housing, and it was a really substantive conversation. And I was so impressed with their letters that when a senior HUD official was visiting me from Washington, D.C. that same week, I gave him those letters. There's really outstanding work going on in our schools, and I think that we need to talk more about that, because I want our children to be proud of their schools and to be proud of themselves. They're really doing an outstanding job. Our young people are dynamic. One
thing I'm concerned about, and I'm sure you are as well, that the Bishop McGinn High School in the city of Albany is in a precarious situation right now, and I cannot believe in the capital of the Empire State that you couldn't have one Catholic high school. What are you hearing these days?
Well, it seems as though the changes are sort of being slowed down and put on hold, but education is rapidly changing, and I think that when you look at the education environment, we've got to take into account that what we're asking of our children is, we're asking much more of our children with the Common Core and with the need for technology and all the different types of expectations that we have in order to get our kids college ready. So it is challenging when you have smaller schools to be able to keep up with that.
So are you optimistic about the future of Bishop McGinn High School?
I have not had the opportunity to really sit down and have a conversation with the administration there to get a better understanding of what's driving their decision making, but that's certainly something that I will do.
One thing, up in Saratoga Springs, the residents of the county and the residents of the city of Saratoga Springs, they voted against having a casino, so they're not going to have it. Rensselaer County voters voted in support of it. Albany city voters and Albany County voters voted against having a casino, but it seems like what's going on in Saratoga, that Albany, there is a push to have a casino, even though the voters went against it.
Well, the the application for the casinos does require that there be community support in the form of a resolution from the city's governing body or the host community's governing body supporting a casino. We're in the process right now of negotiating a host community agreement that would then be considered by the Common Council in determining whether or not to vote in support of a casino. There are pros, there are cons. We've had a number of public meetings. The Common Council met with the developer and had a 3.5-hour meeting with the developer. So, we are not jumping into this with just carte blanche support. We want to make sure that we weigh the pros and the cons, and that if we do determine that there are benefits to the city in the form of additional tax revenue, job guarantees, that we capture those values and make sure that we have a commitment to provide those to the city.
But aren't you a little bit like Saratoga when the voters voted against it? It shouldn't be considered.
Well, it was a much narrower defeat in the city of Albany, and if you look at our wards that are the most economically challenged, the resolution passed overwhelmingly. So when you have a proposition of 1,800 permanent jobs, most of which we're being told will be union jobs with salaries ranging from $35,000 to $85,000 a year, I think that we owe it to residents in some of our wards. We have some areas of our city where unemployment is at 20%. So we need to link our residents with jobs, and that will, when you have a stable job, when you can invest in your home, when you can invest in your community, you have stronger communities.
One thing that we found, and we stumbled on this Easter Sunday, we did it in Bethlehem. We have relatives and family out there, and whoa, that came up, and they do not want it out there at all. What would you just say to the residents of Bethlehem?
Well, I think that, again, we have to look at what is the benefit to the region, and we need to strengthen the city of Albany. This is a place where many people from Bethlehem come to work, and in order for us to provide safe streets, in order for us to have strong neighborhoods, we need access to jobs. And that has continued to be a significant challenge in the city of Albany. We also need access to a tax base. Many of those people coming from Bethlehem to work in the city of Albany work in buildings that do not pay property taxes. And so for us to have an opportunity to expand our tax base potentially by up to $300 million, when we've seen a 13% decline in that commercial tax base since 2009, I would hope that the residents of Bethlehem would look at the health of the region in general, take a close look, ask difficult questions. We need to make sure that any traffic concerns are met. But when you look at this site, it does not abut or really come close to any residential or commercial neighborhood in the town of Bethlehem. So I would hope there is going to be a casino in this region. It's either going to be in Schenectady or East Greenbush or Albany, maybe Amsterdam, but those three are looking like they're the most likely. And I would just ask our friends in Bethlehem to think about what is best for the region and for our capital city. And I don't know the answer to that question. I'm not lobbying one way or the other, because it's one thing to make promises, it's another to say we're going to sign up to an agreement. But I would hope that our friends in Bethlehem would know that I share their concerns and I have their interest at top of mind as we go through this process as well.